Flavorful street tacos, crunchy coleslaw, creamy avocado crema, served with no oil tortilla chips and a fresh Pico de Gallo. Hi, friends. Welcome to Cooking Live with Lala. I'm Lala. I'm a home cook, a professional baker, and a plant-based eater. Whether you are also plant-based or just looking to get more plants into your diet, this show is for you. Let's start cooking. We are starting today with our coleslaw. All right. In my coleslaw, I'm using some green cabbage, some purple cabbage, and just one carrot that I have shredded. Okay. You can buy cabbage already shredded. You could shred your own. You could use 2 colors of cabbage. You could use one type of cabbage. Maybe there's other cabbages I'm not aware of. You could shred it yourself. You could add a carrot. You could not add a carrot. You could use an onion. If you use an onion, I would recommend just using a small amount, because as those flavors mingle, that onion flavor is going to get stronger and stronger. If you love onion, shoot, put a whole onion in there if you want to. I'm using no onion today. All right. So I've got all of my vegetables in this jar. I've never tried this before, but it seems to me like this should work pretty well. This is 4 cups. And we're going to make a sauce. All right. So cabbage works by your vegetable ingredients and an acid. My acid is actually jalapeno juice. I got that from a jar of pickled jalapenos. And I'm using apple cider vinegar. You do not have to use those ingredients. If you don't like those ingredients, you definitely don't have to use jalapeno juice. Some other things that you could use for the acid could be pickle juice. Pickle juice is fantastic in coleslaw. It's really my favorite, but today I just wanted to try to kick up the flavor a little bit more on the spicy side. Let's see, you could also just use a mixture of orange juice and lime juice. That would also work really well. You could use a red wine vinegar. You could use a rice wine vinegar. I'm sure would be very, very nice. I love coleslaw. I love playing around with different ingredients. So, you know, almost all my recipes are always going to be adaptable to what you like. So you should use what you like. You don't even need this recipe. Honestly, you can make this easily on your own. But I might give you the recipe in the show notes. We'll see. All right, into my bowl, I'm adding my jalapeno juice and my apple cider vinegar. All right. And I am going to use 2 garlics, and I'm going to grate mine. You could chop it. You could also leave the garlic out if you want. I would be really careful about adding too much garlic. As this sits, it's also going to get more garlicky. So my husband is producing for me. He's my producer. This camera just came up. So Death Trip, you'll see him in the chat. He likes to put like little weird things or avocados or something. Anyways, he's my producer, and he talked to me about making sure that I have everything I need before the show. Do you have all of your utensils? Well, probably not. I'm sorry. I'm doing my best. All right. So we've got the grated garlic in there. I am actually going to grate some ginger. Just a little bit, just a teaspoon. You know when you eat something and it's like really good and there's like this one flavor profile and you can't put your finger on what it is and you're just like, man, can't figure out what that is. I'm hoping for this recipe, it's this ginger. Ginger is definitely not something you would expect to find in this recipe. In my opinion, you don't taste it a whole lot, but it really adds just an extra dimension of flavor. So I've just got a nub of ginger here. I'm gonna grate about a teaspoon. It doesn't need to be peeled. because the outer layer will not shred into the ginger. So let's just get that going. Bun bun! Yay! Sorry, Papa. Hello, Sydney. Hello, Bun Bun. Deaf Trip, are you there? I'm sure you probably are. Hello to Deaf Trip. Lily, are you there? So Bun Bun wants to know how many cloves of garlic do I recommend? So I'm using 2. Like I said, the longer you leave this sitting, it's going to develop those flavors. They're going to become more intense. If you're only going to let it sit for like an hour, it should probably be okay to use 2-3 cloves of ginger. If you're going to let it sit for a long time, I would just be really careful about adding too much. Hi, Lily. And yeah, you can cut out the ginger. You don't have to use ginger. You do not have to use garlic. Actually, this entire recipe is super adaptable to whatever the flavors are that you like. All right, so in this bowl, we have our jalapeno juice, apple cider vinegar, grated garlic, grated ginger. I've got a 1/4 cup of vegan mayo. Sorry, Papa. I just want mine to have a touch of creaminess. You could definitely add more. You could remove it altogether. And you could also use like a cashew cream if you wanted to make that. That would also work just as well. All right. I'm going to add a pinch of salt. You could leave the salt out if you're SOS free. And then I'm going to throw in 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. I like my coleslaw a little bit sweet. This could totally be left out if you don't like your coleslaw to be sweet. All right, so those are the ingredients. I'm going to pour this, hopefully really easily, into this jar. This might make a mess. I'm not really sure. This is the beauty of live television. Ooh, I'm not spilling it. All right, I'm going to put this lid on it. Doesn't that look pretty, guys? I'm just going to give this a shake. And so as the time goes by on this show, we're going to notice these vegetables shrink more and more because that acid is going to cook the vegetables a little bit. You definitely do not have to use a jar for this recipe. I just wanted to try it out. Sometimes we're going to do things I've never done on this show. This is live. Who knows what's going to happen? Crazy things might happen. I'm here for that. That's cool. That's exciting. So anyways, if you don't want to use a jar, that's totally fine. Then you could use a non-reactive bowl. What does that mean? So metallic bowls, with the exception of stainless steel, may and most likely will kind of interact with the acid in this dish. And that may impart like a little bit of a metallic flavor into your coleslaw. You don't want that. That's going to taste bad. We've all tasted something metallic in our food, and that's really nasty. So we're going to leave this to sit throughout the show. That's why we started this first. And the longer it sits, it's going to be softer, but it'll still be a little bit crunchy. Let me tell you guys, this coleslaw recipe is so good. I've been making coleslaw my whole life. When I created this recipe, I ate this the other day and I was like, damn, that's the best coleslaw I made. So we'll see what happens at the end. All right. The next thing we're going to do is our Pico de Gallo. Let me get those ingredients together. All right. Hi, Sydney. Wow, so exciting. Hi, Lily. Can I use sugar? Yeah, you could totally use sugar instead of maple syrup. You could use any sweetener you want. You could cut out the sweetener. I would just be careful and make sure it's like a finely ground sugar because you want the grains of the sugar to dissipate into the sauce. Does not need to be liquid. Ah, thank you, Sydney. Bun Bun is going to be a great chef. I think so too. I really do think so. All right. So we are going to do our pico de gallo, but first I just want to talk about what a street taco is. So I kind of like, I've always made these, but I've never really done research into what's traditional until like the past week or so. So from my understanding, a traditional street taco is going to be a small tortilla, usually corn, sometimes double wrapped. Sometimes the corn tortillas can kind of fall apart, so that double wrap will allow all of the wonderful juices and heat from the product to not make the taco completely separate. So 1 or 2 small corn tortillas. It usually has a meat of some sort. And then it has usually a pickled onion. Today we are replacing that with a coleslaw. And then cilantro, a squeeze of lime. It can also have jalapenos. There's a lot of different add-ons that we can do for this. We're going to talk about that later. But so for today, this isn't completely a traditional Mexican street taco. We are using corn tortillas. I replaced the onion with a coleslaw, and we're going to do a pico de gallo. Pico is something that can be used on a street taco. That's totally up to you. You should do what you like. This whole channel is about you doing what you like, making recipes adapt to the things that you like. If there are ingredients today that you don't like, don't use them. That's okay. Life is short. We should eat well and be happy. That's what I think. Let's move on to this pico de gallo. All right. Got a few ingredients here. I'm collecting forks, obviously. All right. Before we get started, let's talk about the difference between a pico de gallo and a salsa. So a pico really is a type of salsa. Salsa means sauce. But the main differences between a pico de gallo and a salsa is often salsa ingredients are cooked, and a pico is always fresh, and it has kind of chunky ingredients, whereas a salsa can be like a more smooth salsa, can be a more smooth sauce, basically. So the traditional ingredients for a pico are tomato, onion, cilantro, lime, salt, jalapeno. You don't have to put the jalapeno in if you don't like jalapeno, or if you want something more spicy, you could use a serrano pepper, which is, I believe, 5 times spicier than a jalapeno. So let's get started on this. All right. I'm hesitant to leave you guys a recipe. I really want you guys to learn how to make things on your own without a recipe. This is 4 Roma tomatoes chopped. And I think you can see how tiny this is. I've chopped these in small pieces. We need all of the pieces to be either the same or smaller. It's a little bit redundant, isn't it? So this is my 4 Roma tomatoes. The reason I use Roma tomatoes is because Roma tomatoes tend to be more meaty, less juicy than other, just like regular tomatoes that you find at the grocery store. All right. To that, we're going to add part of an onion. So from my understanding, a traditional onion used in Mexican cooking is going to be a white onion. This is not a white onion. This is a sweet onion because Lala loves sweet onions. I find get white onions to be really strong, like super strong in flavor. You know, I was just going over these recipes for the pico. I've always made pico, but I've never really looked at ingredients for it. Tommy, you can't hear me. Hi, can you bring me a tissue, please? So I basically always just made one form of this or another, but I never really read recipes for it. I read one recipe and it called for an equal amount of onions to tomatoes. That would be way too oniony for me. Give me 1 second. Stay here. Stay here. My nose is running. Oh, I need to know if I look okay. Are you sure? Look, because it feels like something. All good? Okay, sorry, I had a runny nose. I needed to handle that. This is just a good moment to say, clean your hands, people. I had a runny nose. I needed to blow my nose. I needed to wash my hands. I feel like, thank you. I feel like I've read before that the biggest breakthrough of medical science was learning to wash your hands, and then after that, antibiotics. So wash your hands. I've seen some bad things, heard some bad things. Wash your hands, people. Okay, where were we? We're on this onion. Okay. So this is a sweet onion. These are my favorite onions. You could use a sweet onion if you like. You could use a yellow onion. I actually don't use yellow onions because I find them to have like a mushy texture, and that's not a thing for me. I also love the flavor of red onions, but the smell, oh, they make me cry so hard. Let me know in the comments if onions like kill you when you cut them, or if you have any really good tricks. I know one, but I'd like to see what you guys have to say first. So let's just cut up this onion. You know, there's a lot of different ways to cut onions, people. You don't have to do it my way. There's like a million YouTube videos on chopping onions. My way is not always the best. You guys should do what works for you. All right. I don't really want to add more than like a 1/4 cup of chopped onions to this. I don't want mine to be overly oniony. I think that's good. I'm going to leave this for now. Like I said, I don't want this to taste too much like onions, but that's just me. You guys should do what you like. All right. Can you guys still see that? The next ingredient in a pico is fresh. I should do this over here. Fresh cilantro. Isn't cilantro a pain in the butt for those of you that do eat it? Man, cilantro is difficult. I'm telling you. It's hard to keep fresh in your fridge. It will get weird, brown, smelly, super, super fast. It's hard to grow. I don't know. I live in Colorado. I try every year to grow cilantro in different environments, and it never grows. Never, ever. If you have any tips on growing cilantro, I would really love to hear them. I buy probably about 3 things of cilantro each week. This one is very pretty. A little bit of a pro tip here. I find the organic cilantro to generally be tastier and bushier than the non-organic, with only a little bit of a price difference. So it might be something to check it out. So anyways, I wrap my cilantro in a wet paper towel, and then I put it in a bag. And it usually lasts for about a week, sometimes more, sometimes less. Let me know your cilantro tips in the comments. So I'm going to cut, this is probably about 1/8 of a cup of cilantro. I know a lot of people don't like cilantro. I don't know if it's a lot. I don't know the percentage. Somebody look up the percentage of people that hate cilantro and put it in the comments. That'd be super, super cool info. Anyways, I love cilantro. It does not taste like soap to me. I think it's fantastic. The one thing I don't like is getting a big piece of cilantro stuck to the roof of my mouth. It just can be overpowering to the dish. So I'm going to cut this finely. I'm going to throw it in my dish. All right. The next ingredient for our pico is going to be jalapeno. Now, like I said, you don't have to use jalapeno if you don't want anything spicy. You could leave it out, or you could chop a jalapeno with no seeds. In my experience, jalapenos generally have almost no heat when there's no seeds. The seeds do add quite a bit of heat. I would just like to caution you, if you do any of these kind of peppers, wear gloves. Do not touch your ojos at all. You will feel like you're dying. This one is only about half of a jalapeno. I cut it ahead of time so I don't do anything bad to my eyes. And I did leave the seeds in because I just think a jalapeno without seeds kind of just tastes like a green bell pepper, which is just not my favorite food. All right. We've got 2 ingredients left. One is going to be a pinch of salt. I got a little salt dish here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of salt there. And I've got this lime that I have left out of the fridge. Let it come to room temperature. I'm going to roll it a little bit so that it can have a little bit more juice. And this whole guy is going to go in. I do not have like a squeezer of citrus items thingy. I don't. I'm a bit of a minimalist. I don't like to have more things than I need. This fork actually works super well on squeezing this lime, so that's what I'm going to use. Bun Bun says that she freezes her onions. What? Are you saying that you freeze your onions before cutting them? I've literally never heard of that. Okay, Sydney's asking, can she use less onions? Yeah, you could. You know, the other day I was just recreating this recipe again. I like to recreate my recipes lots of times. And the last onion I had, it was soft. We don't want any soft onions, do we? It was nasty. It was my last onion and I didn't want to go out. So I threw it away and I made pico without an onion. And guess what? It was fantastic. It was still so good. There's no way you can put together these great, delicious ingredients and not make something spectacular, even if you leave an ingredient out. There's like something on my foot. It's an onion peel. All right, so this recipe is totally adaptable. Use more tomatoes, use less tomatoes, use more onions, use no onions, use no jalapenos, use serranos. Don't use cilantro if you don't like cilantro. A great add-in for this recipe is fresh garlic. That would be amazing. I'm leaving it out today. You know, I don't know, for any of you who are not American, Americans love Mexican food. It is so amazing. We love it so much. Literally, the part of the country I live in right now used to belong to Mexico. The flavors are really fantastic here. Forgot my point. But anyways, you should do what you like. Do what you like. I always do what I like. Always. And my recipes may not always be traditional. That is not meant to be offensive to the people of those areas. Sometimes ingredients aren't easy to come by. Sometimes the ingredients that go in a dish are just much too expensive, and we may replace them with something else. And you know, that's okay. I think it's okay as long as you don't call it traditional, blah, 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 whatever, if it's not. You know what I mean? All right, let's get back to this pico. All right, we've got our tomatoes, we've got our cilantro, we've got our onions. There's jalapenos in there. Our lime juice is in here, and we put salt in here. Let's just give this a mix. Look how pretty that is. I was reading something about, this is also called salsa fresca, which just means, you know, fresh sauce. And then I was reading something about it also being called something in relation to the Mexican flag because of the pretty colors of red, green, and white. I just think that's super cool. If you have information about a Pico de Gallo, let us know in the comments. This is going to be delicious, by the way. Super fresh, super amazing. All right, we're moving on to the next thing. Ah, you can see my flowers. Look at my cute little flowers that I bought. If this channel doesn't do well, then maybe I'll go into the flower business and just cut flowers for people in vases because, I don't know, I'm just good at it. All right. The next thing we're going to do is our street tacos. That's a main ingredient. And I think I'll cook this right in front of you guys so you can see what it looks like. All right, Bun says 4 to 14% of the population does not like cilantro. So that's interesting. I understand it's a genetic thing. Sydney says she likes to use the whole cilantro, even the leafless parts. Your daughters love cilantro. Yeah, I use the stems in a lot of cooking as well. The stems are also super flavorful. Def Trip says 4 to 14%. Aha. If you're recreating a recipe, can you mix it up and do something different, or will that not work? Okay. That's a great question. It really depends on the recipe. So I would just say if you're baking a dish, sometimes ingredients have to be super specific, okay? But when you are doing something that's not baking, you can play with the ingredients. As a matter of fact, I recommend you guys really play around with ingredients, learn what you like, learn what works for you. Do you guys think I don't mess things up? I mess things up all the time. Okay. Maybe not all the time, but I do mess things up. Sometimes I might add a little bit too much of this, or I need to add a little bit more of that. That's totally fine. This is how we learn things. All right, we're going to talk about these tacos. I need like a little plate for my onion pieces. Okay. All right, we're going to get into the meat of the dish. So I made a marinade, and the marinade will be linked in the show notes. It still has to be edited. Either way, it will be on the channel, hopefully within the next day or two. The marinade is generally like some acids and a bunch of seasonings. So I put the marinade in here. I did marinate this overnight. I always recommend, if you're going to marinate something, do it as long as you can. Overnight's always going to be better. Look at that guy jumping out of the bowl here. They can't wait to be cooked. All right. So my meat is actually soy curls. Can you see that? I'm going to show you what I used. If I can find it, it's right here. Why are you smiling? All right. So this is what I use. This is Butler brand soy curls. I've never seen another brand. I would imagine there's got to be another one out there. However, you can order this online. I'm lucky enough to have a store locally that sells this, so that's where I buy it. It's about somewhere between $5 or $6 for 8 ounces. This stuff, I think, doubles or triples in size. It looks like this. It's dehydrated. It is a non-GMO organic soybean made to be like this. Just this little dehydrated guy. And when it rehydrates, it kind of has a consistency, I would say, of chicken. I haven't had chicken for a long time, so I don't know how accurate that is, but it has a really, really good texture. All right. So we're just going to cook this right here. I'd love you guys to see this. I'm going to let all the soy curls and all the juices from the marinade go in here. This has garlic and it has onion. I used an orange pepper in this one. This is going to be really, really good. So I would say soy curls don't really taste like anything on their own. They're going to absorb the flavor of whatever you marinate it in. You can put it just in hot water and it's going to rehydrate, but it's not going to have any of those flavors. So I like to rehydrate mine in something filled with flavor. And we're going to cook this probably 10 to 15 minutes. We're going to cook it until all the liquids are absorbed. All right. Bun Bun says, what about for this dish? I think you mean if I'm recreating a recipe. Can you do, yeah. As far as the pico, yeah, I would just say play with it. Do a bunch of different things. See what you like. Will I have a taste tester today? I think so. He put on a fancy shirt, so I think so. Can you cook the soy curls in a pot? You could put the soy curls in a pot with all the flavorings and rehydrate it that way, but it's going to be better the longer that you can let it marinate. Marinate? Marinate. I think we're going to go with marinate. All right. Deaf Trip is hungry. All right. I wonder if there's a little daughter of mine on the show. If so, I would love to hear from her. I don't know if she's here. I have 5 people on. Hi, 5 people. All right. This is starting to make a little bit of a sound, so I think it's cooking. If anybody has questions or comments, I'd love to hear from them. You guys let me know where you're from in the comments. By the way, Sydney, can I stop by your house later? Please? Coming up your way. I'd like to stop by. All right, let's look at this. It's heating up. I don't know if you can see a little bit of steam going on. All right, while this is cooking, we're going to start our avocado crema. Oh, don't fall. And I'm just going to give this guy a little mix again. Let's open him up and see what's going on inside. Oh, yeah. It's getting smaller. See, it's getting smaller because the acid is cooking these, these cabbages a little bit. All right. So an avocado crema is not traditional on a street taco. It may not be traditional Mexican at all. I literally have no idea. It's something I've been making for a long time. When you're a person who maybe doesn't have too much fat in their diet, sometimes it's nice to add some kind of fat, and that's the purpose of this in this dish. So it's really just a creamed avocado with some flavoring that we're going to put on top of that taco, and it's going to be really delicious. It's going to add that little bit of mouthfeel that you get from having fat on your food. All right, let's get this guy going while this cooks. By the way, sometimes these soy curls come out pretty big. Let me try to show you this guy. Look how big this guy is. He's a super long one. So I usually, when I'm going to soak them, I'll break them up into smaller pieces. Sometimes I miss one or two. But if you like them long, they come long. You know what else is great for soy curls? I'll probably do this in the future on the show. Is a like an Alfredo sauce. I make a fantastic Alfredo sauce. It is made with nuts. It has no animal products in it. It is so very, very, very good. The secret is not big. Don't tell anybody. I Actually, nutmeg is a secret in a lot of dishes. Nutmeg is one of those ingredients that's kind of like, oh my God, what is this? This tastes so good. I can't figure out what that is. Sometimes it's nutmeg. All right, let's make an avocado crema. So like I said, an avocado crema is just mostly a creamed avocado. So this guy is, I would call him a large medium. Unless you've lived like in South Florida and other places where avocados can be like this big. In my area, this is a pretty decent size avocado. So I'm just going to throw him, I have a little blending cup that I'm going to use. I'm going to throw him in there. I'm very lucky that I got a really super beautiful avocado. Sometimes your family members eat your ingredients and you aren't expecting that. And then you have to hope everything goes okay. Love you. I'm just harassing you. I love you. All right. All right, and I want this to kind of cook like a medium high temperature. You actually want to cook some of the juices out of the soy curls. By the way, if you don't have soy curls, don't get soy curls, aren't interested in soy curls, you could use lentils. I actually was testing this recipe with lentils. I would say if you want to replace it with lentils, I would do about 2 cups of dry lentils in this recipe. If you look at the marinade recipe, you'll see that you can just add the amount of water you want. So if you have, let's say it just looks a little bit dry after you put the marinade onto the lentils, you can add a little bit of water and that will be okay. You could use TBP in this recipe. You could probably use pinto beans. That would probably be super amazing. As you can see, the liquids are cooking out. There's not a whole lot of liquids left in here. So we're going to let this keep going for a minute. All right, back to the crema. We've got a medium avocado. I've got some lime juice here that I've already squeezed. I've got 2 tablespoons pouring that in there. If you guys want this recipe to be in the show notes, let me know. I'm going to add a pinch of salt. Again, if you're SOS free, you don't have to put that in. So I decided because of the acidity in this, I wanted to add just a little bit of spice. So I'm going to do half of a jalapeno with the seeds in here. Again, you can leave this out if you don't want it to have a little bit of spice. And if you want more spice, you could use a serrano or something else. So I'm just throwing this guy whole into there. And I'm going to do a little bit of cilantro. This is about 1/8 of a cup or a couple tablespoons. You guys can't see that. All right. And so I've got some plant milk here. This is a cashew plant milk. It has no sweetener. It has no vanilla. Once again, like we talked about last week, you should be careful about the type of plant milk that you use in cooking. A lot of plant milks have vanilla. Vanilla would be weird in this. A lot of plant milks have sugar in them. You could make your own. That would be really, really great. So I'm going to add most of this in there. Nope, all of it. And I've got some water in case I need a little bit of an extra liquid. I'm going to go put this on my blender for a minute. Before I do that, let's go ahead and finish this real quick. Actually, just want to give this a little bit of a taste. You know, you guys need to taste your food when you're cooking. Taste it towards the beginning, taste it in the middle, taste it at the end. Definitely taste it before you serve it. It's the only way to know if all the flavor profiles that you're going for are all available. Let's see. Bun Bun's from Colorado. Bun Bun deleted a bunch of comments. Good job, Bun Bun. You should always delete comments. Oh, and Dev Trip retracted a message. What's going on in the messages? can you mix the avocado instead of blending them? So if you try to hand mix them, they probably wouldn't get very creamy. I do know a lot of substitutions for spices. You'd probably have to be more specific. Wow, that's really good. It's got a little bit of kick from the marinade, but it is really delicious. I've got a slurry that I'm going to pour in there. A slurry is just cornstarch and water. I'm celiac, so I don't use anything with gluten in it. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. The slurry is just going to make the texture a little bit more creamy. All right, we're going to let that cook for a minute or two. And I'm going to go mix this avocado crema together. All right, on my first mix, it's a little bit thicker than I'd like it to be. I don't really want it to look glump. I don't know what kind of word that is. So I'm going to put a little water in there and mix it again. All right, this is almost ready. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. You see how that it's no longer a liquidy. It's just kind of thicker. It's just going to kind of make the whole thing more cohesive. So I'm going to turn that off. Hopefully that blender noise wasn't too loud. I would say just if you make this, be careful with the amount of liquid you put in. It's easy to put in more liquid, but a less harder to take away liquid. So this is actually what we're going for, a cream. All right, this guy is done. I'm going to move him out of the way. That thing's kind of hot. Caution, hot surface. Makes sense. All right. So I'm just going to pour my crema into a bottle because I'm kind of bougie like that and I like my plating to be nice. You definitely do not have to do this. This is literally, like I got this guy from a hardware store like 15 years ago. I've got like 4 of them. They're perfect. They were never used in the automotive industry, FYI. Let's see if it goes in. Wow. Let's switch this out for a bigger one. This was going in much better. This will last about 3 days or so in your house. If you could get people to not eat it. This just splashed on me. Right after I recommended that you guys taste foods, I didn't taste this, so let's try it. It's really good. You know, you never know with a jalapeno how spicy it's going to be. I think with this one, if I could go back and do it, I would add more jalapeno. I'd like it to be spicier, but it's super good. It's creamy. It's rich. It's very lovely. We are almost done with this menu, guys. We've got 2 things left. Will this become a video? I think it's a video now, but yes, it will also be a video. All right. So we're going to do some no oil tortilla chips. I'm celiac, so for me, I do not use flour tortillas. So I'm using corn tortillas in this recipe. I like corn tortillas. You could just as easily replace all the corn tortillas with flour tortillas if you like them. I don't know if this recipe for these corn tortillas will translate as well to the flour. I feel like they may cook faster. All I did with this recipe is cut my tortillas, put them on a pan, add salt, and cook them in the oven. That's it. No oil needed. But let's walk through. Let's walk through a pan and you can see. So these are some chips that I already cooked. I'm just going to put them on a pan like this. I decided to just use mission tortillas on this one. I feel like, at least in America, this is a tortilla that everyone can get. Generally, I like to use a corn tortilla that is corn and salt. When you buy things like this, they do tend to add a little bit of additives. But we're going to go with this for today because everybody has access. This is a white tortilla. The yellow tortillas cook a little faster. I'm going to cook these on 400 in my oven. I'm just going to cut them in sixths. That's not that easy to say. All right. There's no oil or anything on this pan. All right. I'm adding salt on mine. You don't have to use salt. You can use salt if you want to. There's a whole array of seasonings that you guys could use. This would be good with cumin and chili powder and garlic powder and onion powder. You could even use paprika. I'm just doing salt. This is going to go in the oven for 5 minutes and we're going to flip it. You know, our ovens don't necessarily temp what they say they temp. So I'm putting it on 400. The only way I can really know if it's 400 is by putting in an oven thermometer and checking it. So what my point is, I'm not telling you to run out and buy an oven thermometer. What I'm telling you is this is kind of delicate. It cooks pretty quickly. You're going to have to keep an eye on it. So the minutes that it takes me to cook it in my oven may not be exactly the same for you. And what you're looking for when this is done is a little snap. That's when you know they're cooked properly, when they snap. All right. Give her a coleslaw shake. I'm going to mix up this pico a little bit. It's looking good. We're almost done, guys. To go with this recipe today, I made some corn on the cob. If you know me, I'm going to eat corn on the cob all summer. I know I made it last week, but this just goes really well with this dish. So I'm not going to go over how to cook it today, but I am going to put it on the plate. All right. Can you mix the avocado? Okay. I love this tortilla chip method. I love putting lime and salt on mine. Do you put your lime on before you cook? I think I saw a recipe where people put lime on right before they cook it. I've never tried that. I think it could go well or not go well, depending on if you put too much lime, it could just end up soggy. But, you know, let me know. Let me know what's going on. The last thing we're going to do is heat up some tortillas. We're going to bring back our little cooker guy. All right. So corn tortillas should be heated up. Yes, you can heat them in the microwave. You sure can. But you know what's better is just cooking them on a grill. I'm just going to cook them in my cast iron real quick. When you cook them a little bit, it's going to give them more texture. I find that when I cook them like this, I don't need to double up the tortillas. So cooking them just makes them a little bit thicker, a little bit heartier. They won't break as easily. So we're just going to throw in a couple of these guys. When you cook a corn tortilla on a hot surface like this, you want it to be pretty hot. If it's hot enough, it should cook, I don't know, I think between 15 and 30 seconds per side. So we'll just cook a couple of these for demonstration. I'm waiting for my pan to get hot. Yeah, I'm drinking a little bit of wine today. Don't judge me. Anybody hungry? I feel like I've not had enough food today. I'm very hungry. I cannot wait to eat this food. Def Trip says that sounds good to me. Yes, I'm going to feed you, sir. I promise. What's everybody cooking for dinner? Anybody else cooking? Sydney, I'm pretty sure you're cooking. What are you making for dinner tonight? Also, you didn't tell me if I can stop by tonight. Or did you? I don't know if I can. I've got like this 2-screen thing going on. Oh, look at that. Okay, did I miss any comments? Lots of comments. See if I missed anything. Lily says my makeup is pretty and she likes it. Thank y'all. I haven't really worn makeup for like 13 years, so this is all new for me. Yeah. Don't really do makeup. Generally, if I do makeup, it's like a mascara and a lipstick, and I'm calling it good. So, let's see. Ooh. All right, I'm just going to flip these over real quick. And back in they go. All right. So I'm doing 400 degrees, 5 minutes on one side, flipping them over, 4 minutes on the other side, but I'm going to keep an eye on it between 3 and 4 minutes. You kind of want them to start getting a little bit brown on the edges. That's the way that you know that they're going to be crispy, because you're really looking for that crack when you break them. You don't want them to be kind of mostly cooked, but a little bit not cooked, and then they're not crunchy when you eat them. You want them to be crunchy. I read some recipes where some people will put salt or seasoning again on the other side. I don't really find that necessary. I think seasoning one side actually works really well. But again, you should just do whatever it is that you like. Oh, my pan is hot. Look at this. That guy is smoking. We're going to throw this tortilla on. Back to the onion thing. Sydney says if you put bread in your mouth, then it'll stop you from crying. Or you could put your head in a fishbowl. Would that hurt the fish? No, I'm just kidding. Does the bread have to be gluten-y? Because I can't eat that. I have so many questions about life. Seriously. Whoo, look at that. I'm going to leave it on another couple seconds, but this is going great. I'm so curious about all these deleted messages. All right, let's flip this guy. If your surface is hot enough, it should cook fast. You don't have to do it this way. You could do it on a grill. Some people who have a gas stove do it right on the burner. That sounds good to me. I would love to try that. Sydney says her husband is grilling tonight, but I sort of want to switch it to street tacos. Death Strip says you could have both. I'm going to turn this down just a smidge. It is super hot. Death Trip says corn. That's all he gets for dinner. Corn, nothing else. All right, I'm going to take this guy out. Let's do one more. All right, we are almost done. We're almost done. We're about to plate. This is I really hope some of you guys make this. I cannot tell you how good this meal is. It is so fantastic. Look at all that smoke. I don't know if you guys can see it as well as I can. And look, it's getting little puffy pockets. That's also a way of knowing that it's time to flip it. If you've ever wanted to make a fresh corn tortilla, I highly recommend it. These store-bought tortillas don't even touch the flavor of a fresh tortilla. It's not that much work. As a matter of fact, my granddaughter Lily is actually a professional tortilla maker. I taught her a couple years ago and she's fantastic at it. Lily, we need to make some tortillas together. All right, this guy is done. I'm going to turn it off because I just wanted to show you guys a couple of them. But look at all that color he has on there. I know this is going to taste really fantastic. I'm keeping them in what was a kind of wet paper towel to keep them moist, and then another paper towel to keep them warm. All right. So this has come out. I don't know if you can see these little kind of brown edges on it. That tells me it's going to be crispy, but it is not overcooked. You don't want the whole thing brown. It's going to just be taste burned. If you can leave them on the pan a couple minutes before you take them out, that's going to just help you ensure that they're crispy. All right, we've cooked everything. So now it's just time for plating. So exciting. I can't wait to eat. I'm just going to cut some limes for squeezing. And I've got an extra avocado for toppings, so I'm going to do that real quick. Did you guys know these are edible? Not that I'm recommending it, but if you accidentally eat one, it's not going to kill you. So I just rolled this. It's room temp, and I've rolled it. It's not room temp. It was room temp, but I put it in the fridge. But either way, it's better room temp. I've rolled it to get those juices out. I'm just going to cut it this direction. Put a couple on the plate. Man, I got lucky with some great avocados this time, didn't I? Just gonna make some slices with this to add to our tacos. Like I said, I did make some corn again, just because I'm such a fan. I've got this ingredient called tahine. I believe that it is a citrusy chili powder. I'm going to put this on my corn today. And then we're just going to put a little lime juice on there, just to give it a little extra flavor. Before we finish plating, let's go ahead and check this coleslaw. We haven't poured it out of the container yet. I've got this giant bowl for some reason. Ah, Lily would love to come make fajitas with me. Fajitas. Tortillas. All right, let's just give this a little mix. You could even add some cilantro. If you love cilantro, you could put some in here too. All right, this looks really fantastic. I'm going to give it a taste. You should always taste all your ingredients before you put them together. Wow. It is so good. Like I said, I've been making coleslaw forever. This is probably my best coleslaw recipe. All right, let's get that on here. Let's finish plating. The coleslaw is going to bring a little crunch to the taco, and it's going to bring a little acidity. Put on a few chips. Add some of our pico. You can put the pico on your tacos too. You guys can really just do whatever it is that you want. I'm missing something. Oh, crema. And I've got this little avocado crema that I'm going to put on the tacos. It's getting a little stuck for some reason. Maybe I didn't blend it as much as I thought. Live TV, people, live TV. Things are going to go wrong. All right. All right, we've got street tacos with crunchy coleslaw, a creamy avocado crema. We've got some no oil chips with a fresh pico, some corn on the cob that I made. We've got some limes over here. If we want to put it on top. I think it's time to taste this food. Do I have a taster? Oh, one other quick thing I want to do before we taste. Can't find a knife. I'm just going to do a little bit of cilantro on top. Give it a little bit of extra flavor. You know, guys, it's all about that flavor. I don't care if you're plant-based, if you're a vegan, if you're a carnivore. It's all about the flavor because that's what matters when you eat, right? We all want to be happy. We want to eat things that taste good. So let's try this food. Come on, Death Trip. Hi. All right, would you like to try a taco? Let me bring this down a little bit. Wait a minute.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh my God, doesn't that look so good?
Looks better in person, I trust.
Okay. You gonna take the whole plate?
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna take a taco. You got it?
Yep.
Okay, don't drop it.
Mmm.
Man, that's really good.
Mm-hmm. That is so flavorful. Thank you so much.
Let me try a chip.
Delicious.
You may walk away.
Thank you.
Use some lime on there if you want to.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
The tacos taste meaty, filled with flavor. The coleslaw is crunchy. The crema is super creamy and a little bit fatty, giving you that mouthfeel. The chips are crunchy and the pico is fresh and just wonderful. Sydney said it looks amazing. Death Trip says very nice looking coleslaw. I guess he's already tried it. Would you put cilantro in the corn? Yeah. You could totally put cilantro in the corn. So you can hear how crunchy those tacos are. Oh, those chips are. Guys, we're done. This was amazing. I hope you try it. I am going to put some recipes at the bottom. Other things I think you can do on your own. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you like the show, please consider subscribing. I'm a brand new channel. I literally have 12 subscribers. I could use all the help that I can get. If you like this video, consider liking and sharing with your friends. Next week, I think we're doing breakfast foods. The things I'm working on are the granola that I talked about previously, a potato hash. Mine is a little bit different than what you may be used to. I'm doing a plant-based sausage, a fruit salad, easy peasy. And we might do some mimosas. Have a great week. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you next time.